Welcome back to the Tydirium Hangar. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the weekly news and review for January 3rd, 2021. 2021. I know a lot of people had a rough 2020. I personally had a great 2020. You know who else had a bad 2020? Masterpiece Transformers. We got a great year ahead, I hope, looking into 2021. Some great news on the horizon. We're going to talk about all this coming up. First off, I want to talk about a couple of things you could get at Show Z, or at least pre-order. Looks like they're just now getting in stock, out of the blue, a fourth-party Masterpiece BW10 Tigatron MP50. Here's the thing, they did the same thing with Bumblebee, and they sold out really fast. But it's $85 instead of the normal price of like $130, $150, or $160, whatever the normal price is. I passed on this. I just chose, I didn't really feel like I needed it. But $85 might be a good price to get in on it. I remember the Cheetor KOs though, those were a lot cheaper. Because this really isn't a KO. It can't be a KO this fast. It's got to be some sort of factory rejects or factory extras, or they just didn't package it. Whatever reason, they're getting it a lot cheaper, but they're slapping the KO on it. Also at Show Z, you can place your pre-orders for the Moon Studio Raiden, and they've got all 6 of the train bots up for pre-order, $2 down. No price yet, which is kind of sad, but it is slated for second quarter of 2021. Now they do combine into this nice looking bot, and this looks exactly like the Zeta, so Zeta either changed the name for this release or sold off their design, one or the other, but it looks pretty good. If you're in on this, you might want to secure yourself a pre-order, and pre-ordering it you get the lowest price around. They also turn into, of course, the train bots, and I think the train looks super clean. I think they come with these tracks, like a train track with it, and they all connect to make this really long 6 train set. I know a lot of people are on this Raiden, but you can pre-order it right now. So getting into some Masterpiece news here, we've got Dr. Wu with their face upgrade kit for RC, the Masterpiece RC that just came out, which a lot of people try to say that they didn't think that Takara nailed the face sculpt. So Dr. Wu's right there and agrees with a lot of people that say that. I thought it was perfectly fine, but it kind of made me think, this week, I'm shocked how many people are just in love with this RC. Now, it's definitely imperfections or some areas that it could have some opportunities. But people are taking photos of this thing, making her look really good. There's photos on a couch, like, hey, look at this articulation. What all you can do. This is nap time RC. Photos of her either communicating, and of course, this is a good shot of like, hey, this is what the face looks like. This is what the Dr. Wu faces, replacement faces would look like. And here she is with another crouching shooting pose. Looks pretty good. And lastly, all these people having fun with these pictures with her, I've noticed that a lot of them use this extreme toe articulation to make excellent looking poses, and definitely makes her look really good, kind of bringing out the bright side of this RC. And I think the toe was the weakest thing for her balance or standing her, but now I kind of see why they added it in. So we have gotten some pictures of Takara's next project in the Masterpiece, according to the G1 line of things, and it looks like they're going to do an official Masterpiece skids. Now this is just a line drawing, but they did show the back and the side, which I'm going to point out, Takara is not afraid to show the back and the side of all their figures. I'm going to be talking about that in the future, but looking at it, it doesn't look that bad. It looks pretty good, but let's compare it up to the one that we already have. So X-Transbot's already put out a skids, and I think it's a pretty solid figure overall, and it's got some weight behind it, it's got some paint on it, it looks pretty good, it's got quite a bit of accessories with it. So looking at them side by side, like how much would Takara improve on the X-Transbots version? And if they did improve on the X-Transbots version, is it even worth an upgrade? And if it's $150 or however much it's going to be, like, is it worth it? So there's some questions. Now, I've already talked about Obscure, and we can discuss how obscure it really is. I feel like it's a pretty obscure character, in my opinion. But Takara doing something that's not like a Prime or one of the main characters, that's really a big shocker. Start to wonder how deep it's going to go. Also wondering how deep it's going to go, it says that there are several new Impi products scheduled for release this year, one of which is Skids with an instinctive deformation, I'm assuming transformation, and a wide range of movement. And it's a new work that will be a hybrid version of Masterpiece these days, and we will update the information as time comes on. So hybrid, instinctive transformation, hybrid maybe. This thing is going to be a lot easier to transform than past. I don't know, really. I mean, I'm just guessing when that's what they're talking about. But still, be interested to see how it comes out. So, more pictures of a couple more primes. We've got the Transformers Movie Toys TMT-04 Age of Extinction, The Last Knight Optimus Prime. These are only renders. The thing about this is that this is from the Age of Extinction line, and that line went extinct at retail. So the retail versions went extinct. Now this company's coming out with definitely a higher end version of what you saw at Walmart on clearance for like $12 or whatever the leader class went for at the time. But is this highly sought after? A lot of people want this. I know sometimes when something doesn't sell well and there's not very many out there, people really want that kind of stuff. And so I'm curious how many people would be in on this. Looking at it from the back, of course, it looks pretty clean. It stands about 11.5 inches tall, 28.5 centimeters tall, so nearly 12 inches tall, so it's going to be a big figure when it comes out. Next up, we got more pictures of the 3-0 Optimus Prime, and some information I got last week from the comments that these do sell out pretty quick, so if you want to get one, you better jump on it. I guess I didn't really realize. I mean, they're pretty expensive, so I didn't realize they would sell out that fast, but 57 points of articulation, 11.2 inches tall, so pretty much around the same height of the TMT version, but of course this is the 3-0. And here he is, kind of a crouching pose, showing off what all he can do there. And then he's got another crouching pose, like that, showing, so those blades that come out, that's pretty cool too. And I think that's one of the cooler aspects of this figure. This thing does look pretty solid, and it's going to be a hefty, painted well, of course. Here he is in his A stance. I doubt anyone's going to display this guy in the A stance, of course. They got to do something with him. With all that articulation, all the stuff that's going on with this guy, it looks pretty cool. So it looks like DX9 is going out with a bang with their reissue of the D14 Capone Motormaster. And of course, that would be everything you need to form Minosaur. I don't have a price on that yet. You can still get a pre-order for like $2 down. And the cool thing about this is that everybody's got that big scare with the X-Transbots heavy price point that, hey, DX9 is doing a reissue, so it's come out sometime this year. So get on it if you're after it. If you decide to jump ship from X-Transbots, this is the time to get your pre-order in for this guy. So we got some pictures of Transcraft's Bumblebee. Yeah, more pictures. Yes, again, more pictures. And here he is, looking kind of cool with his face there. Here he is with, will we call it Blitzwing? Will we call it Starscream? Whatever. But hey, here he is. So it's kind of a size comparison. I think it's the right size too. So that matches up really well. But the other thing is, we got a little bit better picture of the alt mode. I don't know, it looks kind of panely. Of course it's a Transformer. It's going to transform. It's going to be panely. But it's the tolerances on the panel, so it kind of looks a little rough. I'm wondering if something's going to happen where you could get it in a little tighter, tighten up those tolerances. I don't know, but it is a bug, so hey, there's that. With the lack of Legends news, we're just going to move on. I gotta say, Legends figures, they sort of come out with a ton of reveals in a week, and then you hear nothing for a while, and then a whole bunch more reveals. So I don't know if we can handle 10 reveals a week every week on Legends, but hey, one day we probably will. Anyway, here's this Dr. Wu. It's the Chatter, Beast Box, and Squawk Talk. So it's their version. Now, I believe this is for the Chug line, so it looks pretty good though. And here they are in their little monster modes. They gotta admit, these are small. These are really small to go along with the Chug characters, the Chug figures, and so there it is. Now, we're not talking original G1 size. We're talking smaller, you know, what goes with Earthrise and all that. And here they are in their cassette mode, in their tape mode, really small. And there they are. So we got a company called Samurai Workshop making a Spike and a Carly. And so these things are pretty small, actually. I don't know how they would stack up with the human characters for the MP line. But, you know, here's the interesting thing. Whether or not they are made for any scale, because so many different vehicles in every scale have different sizes for the driver's seats, that the smaller ones can come in handy down the road. So I kind of welcome the human characters in here. They kind of look good. The Spike face seems a bit off, but once we get the paint on it, it'll look a lot better, I'm sure. But here they are. Here's how small they are compared to, now this is the mainline version of Rumble, and that's already really, really small. So these are even smaller than that. So, yeah, pretty small figures. I think they look pretty good. Here's another thing, is they look like they have a lot of articulation, and they look like they're not going to fall apart on you. Like the like the Takara ones. I mean, I hate to admit it, the Takara ones just pop off and limbs fly all over the place. So, there's that. And they look so human-like. Like, they look really good for being that tiny. It's impressive where we are today with technology and how things can get made. Looking forward to these. So getting into mainline announcements, well, before that, let's get into what's showing up at Target. And for whatever reason, everything's showing up at Target. Well, not my Target. My Target hasn't unloaded a truck since Christmas Eve. What is today? The 3rd of January? Still haven't unloaded a truck yet. So anyway, people are finding Ectotron at Target. That's what they're saying. They find it at Target, and so I'll be checking my Target for it. I didn't pick one up yet, so I probably will pull the trigger when I see it in person. Although I would have preferred the other packaging. I should have jumped on that one. And there's lots of sightings of the Studio Series showing up at Targets. Not Walmart's. I'm not seeing any from Walmart's. It's all Targets. And the Studio Series stuff, the more I see of this Studio Series stuff, the more excited I'm getting for these. They look really good. Every one of them looks good. None of them are 100% perfect, but for the main line, they do look good. And of course, I haven't heard anything about Grimlock showing up in the wild just yet, but I'm sure he's coming soon. Also, there's Kingdom figures showing up, and you know what? They're showing up and they're selling out, and so that's impressive. Well, not really. They all look good. I don't know what that other dinosaur thing is, but I'm sure people are just curious about it. The Paleo Trex or whatever. So there's that. But all of these figures look good. I'm really impressed with the direction that Hasbro has gone, and they're doing a really good job. So, hey, this is a great time to collect. And side note on these deluxes, I'm thinking the reason the deluxes aren't showing up at Walmart, because if they do show up at Walmart and they put them out, they're going to be $10, probably. You know, the holiday sale, it's still in effect around here. I don't know about everyone else's Walmart, but the holiday sale on the deluxes, which leaves an empty deluxe shelf the whole time. And of course with Kingdom, we're getting the Optimus Primal, and I've heard a lot of great things about that figure. So it looks like a lot of great things are coming our way and are already showing up on shelves, so check your Targets, and hopefully they unload the trucks there. So Shockwave's lab is putting out an upgrade kit for Jetfire, for the Siege Jetfire, and this is a really good figure already, but this is adding to your display options. So there's going to be 6 missiles, 6 bendy wire things, and a backpack to attach to it, and it looks like kind of like he's shooting off cluster missiles. So that's kind of cool. It's interesting. It's something different, and here is the actual set itself. That's what you get with it. So hey, it's kind of cool. I don't know if it's something I would exactly need, but I know this past week I've seen so many really amazing photos. I imagine some really creative people can do a lot with a set like this, especially in their display. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing those when the set starts arriving. And there it is, and how it plugs into the back. And from this picture, all of those seem to look like they're like clear type of wire, which would make it look a whole lot better once it's actually in your display. So it looks like December 30th brought us more Netflix Earthrise War for Cybertron trilogy. So we get the Earthrise trilogy. We get to see what's going on in that. I haven't watched it yet, so I need to try to get around to that. But I think it'd be kind of interesting, kind of exciting. The first one, the Siege, I thought was okay, not the greatest, but still, it's just kind of fun to see all of these things that we are buying doing something on TV. I mean, that to me, that's interesting. Interesting enough to give it a watch once or twice. Getting into the bread and butter, meat and potatoes news of this week. Now, I think this is the most news we've gotten, and it's kind of clarification on some of these figures that we're going to get. Now, looking at this picture, we already knew we're getting all these. But now they're saying you will for sure get them. So, starting with the Core Class Soundwave, I mean, that's not something I knew we were going to get, but we're going to be getting a Core Class Sound. That's the little itty-bitty one, the little $10 price point, and he's going to be real small, below the Deluxe. Now, the Core Class Dracodon, and that'll be pretty cool too, and I imagine that's going to be kind of like a bird or something like that, maybe. And that's my guess on that one. And then Deluxe Class Scorponok, and that's going to be Beast Wars, so that'll work. That'll be cool. And then the Deluxe Class Wheeljack. So I mean, we're just getting Wheeljack again, I guess. And then Deluxe Class Wingfinger. So I got to look into that one. I don't know about that character, so I got to look into it. And of course, confirming the Deluxe Class Trax, which we knew about. We heard it rumored. We've already had it pretty much confirmed already, but this confirms it again in the system. And then Deluxe Class Shadow Panther, which would probably just be a recolor of their Cheetor. So not a whole lot new there. Maybe a new head sculpt too on that one. Deluxe Class Pipes, because we already seen Huffer in there, so Pipes is just obviously going to come as a recolor. Deluxe Class Slammer, and then the Deluxe Class Waspinator, and of course we're going to get a Rhinox, a Tigatron, and Leader Class Galvatron. Now, I'm thinking about doing a whole other video because I could spend about 20 minutes talking about all of these releases and upcoming ideas, and some of them have me confused why they're doing them again. But I can get into that in another video. It'll probably take a long time to do in here. Alright, so if you thought Transformers news was light, Star Wars news is really light this week. But Jar Jar Binks is starting to show up, and that's kind of cool. It's hitting retail. I'm guessing Target, of course. Target's the only place getting anything, but not here. But I got a comment from Hasbro Pulse, but it's still kind of interesting knowing that these are hitting retail, and I don't know why Target's getting everything so super early compared to everywhere else, but really awesome. So I found it interesting that this Remnant Stormtrooper is showing up on clearance at Target. Like, I can't imagine anything would be getting clearanced out when there's empty shelves everywhere, but here we go. Clearance at Target. I guess this is online. Heck, I don't know. But anyhow, $13.99. It's already getting clearanced out. The Remnant Stormtrooper. I know that everybody would want a Stormtrooper, extra Stormtroopers, so that's definitely a hot ticket item that somebody would want. So I'm not sure why this thing hit clearance. It's not like they're hanging and clogging up pegs anywhere. So that's kind of a surprise to me. So I came across a couple of articles, and the first one was from the Jedi Temple Archive talking about what all could get made from The Mandalorian. What could we take from The Mandalorian and make in the mainline? Whether it be 3.75, mostly the 3.75, the vintage collection, but what we could make this stuff into the 6-inch also, the Black Series. But looking at it, Weequay, it definitely is a character that's prominent in The Mandalorian, so they can put that one back out. Now, I know we've gotten a Weequay before, but I think people would want to have it again. I'm not huge into reissues, but, some people are. I'm sure that it would come as a Mandalorian version, and it would look a little bit different, so maybe it wouldn't be an exact reissue. And, of course, I still don't know exactly how I feel 100% about reissues or having to chase down, say, the same figure that's slightly modified and slightly different packaging. I think the fun is gone in that, but so many people would rather have a Weequay nowadays since the Cell Barge came out, of course. Looking at EV99, I think that it's overdue, but I started really looking at it and how many last 17s have been touched with the Vintage Collection, and then how many last 17s have been touched with the Black Series. All of this is interesting, and they're all very good questions to get answered. But by far my favorite article this week came from Bantha Skull, and they had a really good article talking about the Imperial Shuttle. And of course, that's my favorite. It's near and dear to my heart. But they discussed Target and how Target reissued it back in the Saga line, Saga generation, and it was only $60. Now I remember this, and I remember thinking for $60 it's a steal. I ended up picking up 3 of them brand new. I ended up getting another one used down the road, so I have 4 of them, and I like them. I like it. It doesn't have any electronics and all this stuff. But starting to extrapolate mathematically how much it would cost to put this thing back out at retail, and that starts to be an issue. So looking at it, if you just say 150 is around what the Slave 1's out at in the Vintage Collection. So if you look at the Slave 1 in the Vintage Collection at 150, this is much bigger. It would be a bigger box, a bigger presence, so that could pose a different issue. So now if you look at the packaging, we didn't get the actual Vintage packaging. We got a Saga packaging, which isn't the same. In my opinion, not as good. I do prefer the Vintage look, and I gotta say, I'd go nuts if I saw one of these, and it definitely wouldn't be 60, but 150 I'd pick it up. But this article says a whole lot more about it, so I'll link the article so you can read yourself, but there's no chance it would be 150. It would be a lot more than 150, and if it was more than 150, would a retailer pick it up? And if a retailer did pick it up, would it even sell? My personal thoughts on it, though, they would need to do a whole different one and call it the Vintage Collection, not just put out a recopy or a mock-up of the original and add a whole bunch of new features. And yes, it would have a huge price point. A huge price point at that point. And at that point, is it a HasLab item? Let me know what you think about this week's weekly news and review. This light week of news. What else is going on out there? What else is interesting that you saw? Like and subscribe. Tradarium Hanger out.